You all have been so great on these games for so many years, but if we're being honest, not every game has been a great game. There have been many blowouts. Chris, I'll start with you. You got to take the voice to the octaves, man. 4 lead changes back and forth. Just describe for me the 15 minutes that you just watched in the fourth quarter, man.
More fun than the Rose Bowl, Scott. One of those blowouts you're talking about. Yeah, this was a strange game and how it developed. Miami total control, but couldn't build a big lead early. And it was a frenetic 25-point fourth quarter, 4 lead changes. It's a shame somebody had to lose. That's a cliche, but we feel that. Ole Miss fans so close. A team that people around the country, whether you liked them or not before, embraced because of what they had been through. And for it to come down to a final heave to the end zone from Trinidad Chambliss, we hope he gets one more year in the sport. That appeal is still pending. But it's the Canes who survive and move on. And, Carson Beck is kind of a polarizing player. He's been around a long time. Unlike Chambliss, he's been in the spotlight. He had his moments at Georgia, but he didn't win a championship. And when it was time to go, the Dogs were kind of happy to see him go. And he was elated to finally leave and come down here, Kirk. And he talked to us yesterday. He had a heart to heart with his team. His 4 interceptions in the loss to Louisville, he doesn't share a lot. But that moment, after Mark Fletcher kind of picked him up and said, we have to get with this guy and stay with him, he opened up his heart and soul to his teammates. That was kind of a turning point. There was one more loss at SMU, but down the stretch, he played clutch and clean, and it all came together in the game-winning drive.
Yeah, I think Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator and play caller, he and Carson, I talked to Shannon about it today. He said, when you meet a guy like this who's been through what he's been through, they're walls. And it takes time to build trust. And he said, when I think we became a different relationship is when we lost to Louisville and we lost to SMU, and how we responded to him. It wasn't finger pointing. It was more, hey, everything's all right. Let's learn. And I think when he saw how the Miami team and his coaches responded, I think he felt like, okay, this is my new home. These guys really. And so that was middle of the year. And then they really never have looked back since then. This is a team that, Scotty, as you know, a lot of people didn't think should be in the playoff.
Last team in.
And they go to last team in, they go to A&M. I mean, we were there. That was one of the coolest atmospheres, toughest atmospheres, wind blowing. They find a way to win that one. They go to play Ohio State down in Arlington. A lot of people didn't give much of a chance there. And then this one against Trinidad Chambliss, and they answered the call all 3 rounds, and now they go back home to play the winner of the Indiana-Oregon game. Just an incredible effort. And this is a program that, let's face it, after the Nevin Shapiro situation, they lost their way. I mean, they really did lose their way. And I remember Chris and I were just talking about it. It was in 21 when I made some comments about this program. It's like you're either in or you're out. There is an alignment with the president and the AD and the head coach, or there's not. And I think from that point on, I can't tell you how many Miami people I've talked to are like, that was a turning point, and they went in a different direction.
You forced administration to look themselves in the mirror and say, does football matter? Do we care about the tradition, the history of this program at this school? Are we going to do what it takes to try to get back there and become relevant again? And they've made some right moves since then.
Made some moves, went out and got Mario Cristobal. And, he didn't do it, Scott, overnight. It's been a build, right? Just like, to me, Butch Davis didn't do it overnight. He built it slowly. And when you build it slowly, it has a chance to sustain itself. And I think that's what Mario has created, not just this year, but moving forward.
And he told me, fellas, when I visited with him after the Ohio State game, and he's going to join me here in just a moment, that he cringed initially at the idea of Miami being back. But it was a slow build to this, and certainly through the portal because of the alignment they brought in players. And they also are always going to build organically as you recruit South Florida. And you get youngsters that are built for this moment. But I want to ask you about that, because while they celebrate tonight, they got banged up on that defensive side of the ball, and they got 10 days to try to get right. But I just wonder what kind of impact might that be on the defensive side if they're down some of the players in the secondary who went out tonight.
We saw Mesler come back in the game despite an elbow injury that we saw in a replay. Didn't look very good.
Didn't look good.
You're right.
Yeah.
It was a punishing physical game. I mean, I think it's going to be the same kind of thing in Atlanta tomorrow night between the 2 Big Ten teams. But you mentioned last team in. I think this is the new norm in the 12-team playoff bracket. Teams that barely make it in, controversial selections, are capable of doing this. and winning it all. And a team with 2 losses is on the brink of it. So I think we better get used to this kind of thing. SEC, by the way, shut out of the championship game now for a 3rd consecutive season, and fans around the country will take note of that as well.
Oh, yeah. And, Scott, I know you got to head out. I just want to say one thing. In covering these games this year, in the midst of the portal and the calendar and all the swirling noise that's around this sport, one thing that I think we've been able to witness firsthand, if you're a coach watching this or a GM watching this, while you're chasing 5 stars and agents, street agents, and everything you're dealing with, you better build a team. Indiana, they don't have a lot of 5 stars. You know what they got? They got a team. This is still a team sport, and it's about winning games. Did you hear Miami when they got up on Jacoby Thomas? I mean, he almost had tears in his eyes talking about, I'm going to play for my guys. Like, if you don't build that and you just chase 5 stars, you're never going to be here on that stage. You better stop chasing just this craziness, and you better step back and say, if those are your demands, get out of here. We're going to go find guys that want to be a part of this and want to play, because that's what's getting here. That's what Miami is. That's what Indiana is. That's what Ole Miss is. You know what I mean? You can do the portal, but you better find the right guys that want to play together. You got to do the portal.
That's what I was going to say. That's just stars.
But you got to find guys that want to play for each other.
If you're going to drop bags on guys, make sure you pick the right kind of human being to come and fit in. Miami's filled with guys who are playing at their 2nd, 3rd school, as Thomas is, the guy from Tennessee. But the right chemistry and the right resolve and resilience.
100%. I'm not saying you don't play that game. You have to. But when you start getting demands, some of these stories I hear from these coaches, it's incredible what they say, that these agents are sitting over on a Zoom, sitting over their shoulders. So anyway, build a team. Build a team if you want to get here.
Yeah, there's plenty that surrounds it that could be not the most palatable, but this game, these last 15 minutes are what we love so much. You guys frame it so well. Look forward to seeing you guys down in South Florida next Monday. All right, fellas, travel safely.
Awesome, man. Yes, sir.
See you soon. Well.
Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler on the call. And Mario Cristobal, kind enough to throw on the headset once again. Mario, Scott Van Pelt, we meet again, man. I thank you for taking time in the midst of this celebration. If I've got this right, the last time you played at home was NC State on the 15th of November. More than 2 months later, you'll play on that field for a national title. As you allow yourself to imagine what that will feel like to be back in front of your folks in your part of the world, what do you imagine that will be?
Well, Scott, again, first and foremost, thank you for having me. I know you got some stuff to do too, brother. But, honestly, you've already kind of known that I'm the most boring interview in sports. So I don't think I'm so process-oriented, and all I'm thinking about is getting in there with these dudes, checking to see how they're doing. Really proud of them. They overcame not only the scoreboard, but we had a bunch of guys banged up tonight. And we've been on the road, like you mentioned, for 5 straight games. These guys are too young to have ever seen the movie Major League, But that's what it feels like. Like we've been on a plane going all over the world, and we finally get to go home and play in front of our people.
I laughed when you made that reference, Mario, because I'm thinking you're going to have to explain to your guys what the hell you're talking about, what Major League means, but they'll get it. You mentioned being banged up, and you told Laura that you had a bunch of guys that had the flu as well. And I'm interested in this. You come to the U if you're a young guy because you want to play on nights like this, and you have to throw some freshmen into the deep end, man, and they show up and show out. What did they show you when their numbers were called in the 4th quarter of a national semifinal game?
Brother, they showed us what they showed us on tape in high school and what they've been showing us on Green Tree practice field, which is where you earn the right? You earn the opportunity out here on that field that all those greats that came before us got it done. So, again, they were prepared for the moment. It wasn't too big for them, but they were called upon for some big plays, and they got it done. But quite honestly, it wasn't surprising that they performed to the level they did.
When you have to watch a guy like Trinidad with 35 yards and a throw, I know your faith. I told Bijan Robinson this in Atlanta, that I had a coach that used to tell me, Mario, after he would say the prayer before the game, the other team prays too, so let's not make God choose, right? Because the other team's going to try their best, and the ball's in the air, and the Rebs fans are praying too. What goes through your mind in that moment where a play could send you home if it goes the other way?
Yeah, we've lived through that before a year ago, right, against Sweet Tech, and that certainly isn't fun. But I'll tell you, Trinidad is as good of a player as I've ever seen. Absolutely dangerous. You know, we did get our hands on 3 balls tonight. We could have had 3 picks and we didn't, but it's hard to get him to that point where he can't see stuff. He sees the field really well. His legs are off the charts. When we scored, I looked up and I saw, what was it, 18, 21 seconds. I'm like, oh, crap. You know, we should have found a way to get some more. Carson, man, just walk into the end zone, burn another 6 seconds off. But no, again, it's certainly not a great feeling, but certainly we have trust and confidence in our guys.
All right, let me let you get to your guys, but one last one. And I loved what you told me last time about cringing initially at the idea of being back. And there's still 60. I'm not. You got to let me. You got to let me. Brother. Do you not trust me enough? Lord. Do you not trust me enough to ask a question? Let me ask a question.
You're a professional, brother. You're a professional. I do trust you. Just hit me up with 1-0, and we're going to be great.
I'm asking you, what are you proudest of tonight that you accomplished tonight? 1-0 is always the goal. What are you most proud of that your group accomplished tonight?
Wow, I don't know where to start. I guess I'm most proud to be part of an organization because, again, I get to sit here and do the interviews and be in front of camera. There's so many people, man. I mean, the way our medical staff works, strength and conditioning, sports science, like, look, at the end of the day, at the core, I'm an offensive lineman. I'm like a team guy. So when you know, the shine comes this way, I'm like, it's kind of not my thing. Let's spread it out for so many people that have sacrificed so much and have gotten us this far, but we didn't come this far just to come this far. We still have a lot of work to do.
That's what my guy Alex Toussaint says when I ride the Peloton. Didn't come this far to come this far. I tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I'm going to be in Miami. You come out on the right end of the next 60 minutes. I'll ask you the question you don't want to answer tonight, all right?
Got to get back to work, brother. Want to know.
Go do it. Travel safely. I'll see you in Miami. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. God